And welcome back, Gaming Nation. SKS here with another episode of 80 Days, part of the 2017 Summer Game Blitz. This game brought to you by Scarlet Ranger. Last time we left off, we're trying to make a mutiny. We're almost a day 50 out of 80. I'm really worried about getting across America now. This ocean is being a lot more than ever. My boss wants me to cause a mutiny, and I'm not doing a great job. So let's see. I'd attempted to stubborn the obvious targets aboard the Water Lily, but wars were often won by the unexpected. With that in mind, I turned my attention toward Ship Artificer. A tall, rather imposing woman in a short jacket embroidered with the guild's copper lily. Artificers were notoriously neutral in a matter of conflict or civil disruption, but I bribed her with 50 pounds. Or rather, I would say I tried to bribe her. She slapped me before throwing the money at my feet. Do not, she warned, towering over me intimidatingly, ever try to bribe an artificer. Oh my god, I've failed like every check on this. Fogg said to cross the date line. I spent the day putting the last finishing touches on the planned mutiny. It was a matter as delicate as serious as the creation of souffle by a master chef. I spread the word of signal amongst my allies and stayed up late. Ensuring every man and woman was on my side was true. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Honolulu threatened by copper shortage. We reached Honolulu in the dark. The captain took a small skiff into harbor with a few officers wishing to inquire about repairs before putting the Water Lily into dry dock. Monsieur Fogg watched the boat for a long moment. Now is the time, he said crisply. I trust everything is order. I voiced my doubt, and the readiness of the crew to mutiny, which caused Monsieur Fogg to almost heave a sigh. Let us hope that you are, in this case, mistaken. With that, the master retreated to his cabin, and I called the signal to arms. The Water Lily erupted into chaos. Everywhere was a clash of sabers and pistols. Now and then I heard the shriek of officers' sonic weapons, but I was not alone. The half of the crew that followed the Christian faith fell in behind me, lit with the desire to teach their Shinto crewmates a lesson rather than mutiny. But the anger helped stoke the fires of rebellion. The Chinese laborers rewarded my friendship with steadfast loyalty, throwing themselves into the mutiny, all with the desperation of men and women who utterly loathed sea travel, and longed to revenge themselves upon the instrument of torment of any fashion. They lit fires and tore up the already ragged sails, causing somewhat welcome chaos. The submariners, led by Commander Davis, emerged quietly. There were a long, terrible moment where I wondered at their allegiance. Then Commander Davis caught my eye and nodded. We know that it's time for change, she shouted, driving back any stragglers loyal to the Captain Wicker. I saw Mademoiselle Loretta trip up one of the loyal officers out of the corner of my eye. She tipped her bonnet in my direction, a gesture of respect from one player of the game to another. The whirl of the battle took me away, but not before I saw her falsify a magnificent feint and block the gangway to the navigation room. By noon it was clear that all of our efforts were for naught. However, the mutiny did not have the support and numbers required to defeat those who had maintained their loyalty. Captain Wicker and the other officers returned just in time to smother the last flames of rebellion. My master and I were thrust up and set off at the port of Honolulu. It was only due to Captain Wicker's good grace that we retained our luggage. The mutinous comrades were not treated with such leniency and were thrown unceremoniously below. That was, Monsieur Fogg said with icy precision as we stood up on the strand of the volcanic island on which we found ourselves. Rather badly done. I splashed him accidentally with seawater. Unfortunately, I could not disagree. The relations with Fogg have deteriorated. How bad are they, I wonder? Fair. Okay. Well, we're here at Honolulu. We can still go to San Francisco. It's $1,000 bucks, but we could change that. Okay, so we'll do that in the morning. Let's stay the night. Let's see what we're gonna do. It was though Honolulu lived in one indrawn breath, a wheeling swath of sky, white-lace waves, and pristine sand bounded by black volcanic bluff. The town was entirely hidden behind groves of coconut and eucalyptus. We took a short tour. "You look," said our coach driver, Hilehaila like city folk. I was born in Paris, I nodded. My first breath was of her smoke and perfume. So you are, like the great and sleepless city of Paris, always in a rush. He murmured something to his horse, which looked well-fed and high-spirited. As a young man, I went to San Francisco to make my fortune, and two ran and scrabbled in pursuit of the almighty dollar. We are neither running nor scrabbling, I pointed out with affronted dignity, but I had to look away from Hilahala's calm look. Our adventure thus far has been somewhat harum scarum. Barely had we placed our toes on dry land. It was growing... Sorry, I'm going to do this one. Barely had we placed our toes on dry land, and we were looking to depart. Oh, I had seen so many wonders, and yet had been ultimately reduced to another mark in my master's ledger. Do you not wish the freedom to exhale, Passepartout? The coach driver asked. To stop running and simply feel the wind upon your face, and the sun warming you and the sound of the ocean like a heartbeat? I will take my moments where I may. Hilahaila, I agreed. With my master, that is where I find peace. Or if not peace, then surely it is purpose, and that is much the same. The coach driver sighed and turned his face to the endless sky. A man may find himself here, he told me, but only if he wishes it. He invited us home that evening and fed us dough-like po and bright-fleshed slices of orange and guava. But I still thought of the marks in Monsieur Fogg's ledger, and the distances we had yet to travel. I knew no peace in Honolulu, but my purpose burned bright and drew me ever forward. We finished our night in Honolulu with a souvenir, a swirling conch shell collected from the beach as we walked back to our lodgings. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. Alright, let's explore. I wonder if you keep these new routes from one game to the next, or if it restarts. Honolulu, we can go to San Francisco, or we can go to, it looks like Mexico? Acapulco? Alright, let's go to the market. We'll sell one of those. Buffalo. So two of these things are really valuable in Acapulco. That's in Burlington. That's Burlington. I need to go to New Orleans. Let's go to San Francisco. Negotiate. Alright. So it departs tomorrow, so we're gonna lose another day. Oh my god. This is rough. Before going to bed, I starched the colors of our shirts. I spent a while talking to the hotel. We have a lot of luggage. We're on the banana boat. We boarded a steam barge from Honolulu to San Francisco. The scent of ripe bananas pervaded every plank, a decking, and bulkhead, a sweet and delicious rotting odor which I'd rather became accustomed to on the voyage, much to the detriment of my keen sense of smell. Fog warning. Has gentleman lost mine? Yes. Yes, he had. Arr! I huffed, attempting to convince my mouth that I ate fried kippers and potatoes at breakfast. Everything smells of bananas. Monsieur Fogg replied that he could not smell a thing, which I took to be his queerly English sense of humor at work. Still, bananas were to be the worst of my troubles aboard this boat, then that would be no bad thing. I was gonna say, get over it. Greetings, Captain. Passepartout. I need to know how to get know, but some buyers will pay well for top hats from us. But answer me this, do you have children yourself? No. I'm not entirely sure I want them. I've always wanted a large family. This one's my first. Interesting. They're not really helping me with paths that I want. Maybe if we can go... I woke in the middle of the night, convinced that someone was in the cabin with me. I stayed very still and listened. There was a long, wave-lapped silence until I heard distinctly a dragging shuffle. I lunged in the direction of the noise and hit something soft and person-shaped and familiar. Monsieur Fogg, I cried, and my midnight visor blinked and straightened and looked about my cabin with a genteel surprise. What, he said calmly, pulling his dress gown close, am I doing in your cabin, Passepartout? Scaring me half to death, I cried, rather unturned by his sudden appearance. He took a sharp breath. It seems I have been sleepwalking, he said, his voice almost tremulous. I have not done so since I was a child. Please accept my apologies. I let him take his leave. Though he seemed strangely agitated, I pulled the thin blanket over my body and settled back into bed, hoping to find my way toward... He's mad at me for something he did? What crap is that? Let's take care of him so that he'll maybe like us more. Captain Kalani was a heavily pregnant Hawaiian woman who found Monsieur Fogg's English accent a source of great mirth. Say something else, she demanded over breakfast. Please, Mr. Fogg. I distracted her with some idle talk, and my master cast me a grateful look. All in a day's work for a valet of my impeachable caliber. Okay, we got our relations back up. To the news. International jewel thief, the Black Rose, foxes French police. I awoke to a frantic knocking at my door and opened it to find Monsieur Fogg actually wringing his hands. Passepartout, he said, his breath hitching. Come quickly. I followed him with grim alacrity. Certainly that something truly unspeakable was afoot, and I was not wrong. My master opened the door of the cabin to reveal Captain Kalani, red-faced and moaning upon his bed. Ooh. She turned her baleful gaze in our direction. I am having my baby early, she hissed, sweat upon her upper lip. You must help me. What should I do? I had intended to ask a question, but it came out more like a shout. Will one of you hold my bloody hand and the other fetch some blasted water, she retorted. I glanced at Monsieur Fogg, who said, I will fetch the water, and left me to hold Captain Kalani's hand. Are you in much pain? I asked inanely. She gave me a look so full of venom that I felt sudden sweat prickling my brow, and then she moaned aloud. Monsieur Fogg returned with a bucket of water, but our respite was short-lived. Captain Kalani parted her knees. One of you, she said authoritatively, must catch the baby. I stilled myself to the role and relinquished her hand to Monsieur Fogg. I tried to compose my expressions into something cool and medical and detached, but I fear I met mixed success at best. After an infinitely long, infinitely terrifying interval, which I may not have the means to describe, I held a small, squalling, red-faced baby in my arms. Handed the creature over. I took off my own jacket and wiped the birth fluids from the baby's face, calling it a worthwhile loss. Then I gave it to her. It is a girl, I said at the sudden hush. Captain Kalani was sweaty and wild-eyed and utterly exhausted. She held the baby to her chest as though it was an infinitely precious thing. She began to sing to her little girl, a song of whales and ocean waves and airships that hung like moons in the sky. Captain Kalani's oh my god, I can't even talk. We just delivered a baby. What am I supposed to... Indisposition, the previous day, did not delay us in the least. She had a well-trained and loyal crew who seemed to have collectively adopted her little girl as one of their own. I will call her Jean, Captain Kalani told us as we tethered at San Francisco. You're an excellent midlife. I was overcome and ducked my head like a boy from the countryside. The name suits her, madame, I said. You will wear it better than I have. She turned toward San Francisco Bay with a renewed hope. After all, whatever challenges it offered could scarcely become more taxing than those we had just overcome. You having a baby. Alright, let's see what we have at the market. I must have that. I'll buy another gun. We need to go to Dallas for sure. Exactly, how many guns do you think we need? Listen here, buddy. Don't you dare question my gun ability. Oh, man. San Francisco seemed less a city and more ravenous based bent on consumption of everything, even itself, within the ever-expanding city limits. The buildings made it tricky to talk to anyone. Such was the infernal constant noise. I slipped toward a recently constructed long bridge, which was crowded with families out for a stroll and people fishing for silvery smelt with long poles. In the water was a jangle of rowing boats racing each other and boatmen taking passengers out to Mission Rock. Cheers and good-natured shouts emitted from halfway house in the middle of the bridge. I peered at the halfway house and surmised, from the reveals I saw spilling out from its doors, that it was some manner of drinking den. A man, red-faced and somewhat the worse for drink, bumped into me. I excused myself politely, and he made an apology in return, slinging an arm around my shoulder. "Oh, hello!" he exclaimed. "You don't sound like you're from around here." "You do not sound American either," I retorted. "No matter. I was Dutch once in the past life, but now I'm an American as President Grant." "I'm as American as President Grant. This is a land of newcomers. You a prospector?" "I'm a traveler," I said. "I'm traveling around the world." He laughed. "Oh, yeah? And I'm a Navajo chief." "Actually," I leaned in conspiratorially, "I'm a jewel thief on the run." "What? Really?" His eyes widened and he slapped his thigh. "That's incredible." A brown-skinned woman slipped her arm into his. I looked for an introduction, and the man smiled quickly. "My matters," he shook his ruddy face. "I'm Anders, and this is my wife, Jenny. This is a pleasure to meet both of you." I kissed her hand, and she was surprised, but smiled. "Always a pleasure to meet Anders' friends." She looked askance at the whiskey flask in his hands, but seemed to find me unobjectionable. I hesitated at the obvious question about her origins at the tip of my tongue. "Are you?" I let my rather uncouth question trail off in embarrassment. She laughed with a full-throated pleasure. "I am of the Modoc tribe of what New Americans call Indians." Jenny rolled her eyes. "I do not mind your surprise. Most of my tribe has been taken to Klamath Reservation in Oregon." "What's a reservation?" Jenny looked at me with utter astonishment. "They are tracts of lands where the first peoples are relocated when the whites decide they want the gold, silver, the coal, the buffalo in our homelands." Anders whispered something into Jenny's ear and she laughed, though I feared I had opened an old wound with my prying question. I nodded and found my way back to Monsieur Fogg, who was sitting drinking tea and disconsolate frown. "It tastes like soap," he remarked, but would say no more. "It was a girl, Passepartout, a girl." Yes, we had the baby. We did great. All right, we need to figure out what we're going to do, because we need to go to Dallas and sell these guns. But we're running out of time. We got 22 days. I don't know what to do. I headed towards Chinatown to eat. It was a warren of crowded wooden and brick houses, temples, businesses, herbalists, laundries, and market stalls selling fruit and flowers. I only wanted to eat, so I found a street vendor and bought a portion of noodles and a thick, pungent sauce served with fresh caught shrimp. A stroke of culinary luck. The man next to me nodded. "Do you like it?" he asked. I smiled. "Indeed I do," I replied. He chuckled and smoothed his crisp shirt. Many of my friends, they say, Lynn, you talk to foreigners. You wear their clothes. And I say to them, I'm an American now. And you are too." He pointed at a young man with his hair in a queue. "Look at him, with his old-fashioned hair. There's a law against it here, but he wears it like that. The fool." "What a ridiculous law. But that is your tradition. Why is there a law against it?" I asked. "It hurts no one, surely." "We must let go of our old culture," Lynn counseled. "We are an American now." "But you are Chinese American." I disagreed. Why should you give up everything for the American dream? Oh, look at that. Alright, so... we're going to have to go down to San Pedro. Go to Dallas. Back on a boat again. We went down to the wharf and found a route onwards. It took us a few attempts to find a sailor who looked experienced enough to handle a boat whatever the conditions might occur. We settled into a fishing boat whose name was Salvador, piloted by a Hispanic lady. I named it after my husband, she told, as she slipped the painter, and we pushed onto the water. It's a fine boat, I told her. She smiled gently, a teary look in the corner of her eye. He was not a bad man. He did not deserve his fate, senor. I gulped, but we were too far from the shore to turn back already. Let's convert. Greetings, Captain Dolores. Hold on tight now, passport. San Pedro to Dallas. Okay. Dallas to New Orleans. New Orleans to New York. And I know that once we get to New York, we should be able to go across the ocean. Let me tell you, the quickest way to Winnipeg from here is via Washington. I don't even like fish. Do you? Somewhat. Somewhat. A good fish can be delicious, but they can spoil easily. If I ever see another fish, I will be sour. And then tomorrow comes and there are more. What can you tell me about New York? They're building that thing out on the island there. Okay. Okay. So Winnipeg goes to Duluth, to Chicago, and Atlanta to Miami, I'm guessing? Oh, we're gonna run out of time. The boat scudded through the water. It roughly followed the sandy coastline and the rocky cliffs of the shore. How long have you lived in California? I asked. My husband and I came down in the gold rush, she told me. I spent every day for a year painting the streams and never found a cent's worth. My husband built a boat and caught fish to feed the other painters, and he made a nice little business out of it. So you became fishermen? We did. Though there were plenty of other people doing that too. A rush on one thing brings a rush on everything, she sighed. It was a crazy time. People would put up with just about anything because they figured they'd be rich next week. Then when it started to dawn on people they were never going to strike any gold themselves, and here they were. Picture it, a whole country's worth of people losing their hope together. I did not need to imagine such a thing, having lived through a siege. I nodded. The second day, Captain Dolores stayed at the tiller through the lashing rain that kept my master huddled below the rough tarpaulin cover stretch over the well of the boat, and myself with him, mopping the rainwater from his bow. Do not be afraid, master, I declared valiantly. I am never afraid, my master replied. Perhaps the only time I have heard utter an outright lie. The storm lasted well into the evening. We lost several hours, but finally the wharf at San Pedro came into view. We land, called Dolores. Take the tiller. There was no moment to lose. I raced up to the back of the boat just as the captain had already dived overboard, painter in her hand. I grabbed to haul. She was surely lost, but my fears only lasted a moment when her head reappeared, bobbing like a seal's, and with a strong stroke she swam to the shore and looped the rope through an anchor rig and hauled us in. We docked and secured ourselves with 3 more lines. Madame, that was quite a dangerous move, I cried. Could you not have sailed her in? Not with a wind like that at our back, she snapped. We would have been smashed into the rock. Salvador has already had 1 hole put in him. I don't know if he could take another. And anyway, we lived. And then her tension came out with a laugh like a rolling barrel, and I could not help but join with her. Your character is now well healed. And that brings us into San Pedro, everybody. And that is where we will end this episode of 80 Days. We've only got 21 more days to do, and I'm worried about that. But as always, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It is part of the Summer Game Blitz, brought to you by Scarlet Ranger. I will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.